It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, and welcome to Boom Broadcasting. And yes, you just got checked in to the SmackDown Hotel. We are going to talk about The Rock's legendary return from this past weekend. In addition, we're talking some football, college football, NFL. We got the guy from the Gridiron Address, Aaron Schneider, here with us in a few moments. We also have joined at the top of the hour podcast_Smitty from QuickHits. And guys, you know it's Monday, so we always start with Homer's house because let's be honest, my phone keeps blowing up. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're Cowboys. Oh, you're Mountaineers. Oh, you're Blue Devils." Da 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 da. And I'm gonna cover it all. Don't worry. That's why we do Homer's home, Homer's house. And that's why we get all taken care of, so I don't have to respond to a bazillion and one text messages. And I'm going to start because, let's be honest, my college football teams didn't do that great this weekend, and that's okay. We'll cover that. But I wanted to start out of pocket on a high note. I want to start on a high note and talk about the Dallas Cowboys literally escaping Pittsburgh. It was an escape. What a thief in the night, literally. Dak Prescott actually becoming the first quarterback in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass in the same game on different days. Because of the weather delay that delayed this game an hour and a half, I stayed up super late watching this game, and it was down to the wire. Micah Parsons out, DeMarcus Lawrence out, Deron Bland out, Kalen Carson out, and the list goes on and on and on. Everyone who was missing from this Cowboys team. And I looked at this game, and you remember me talking on Dad and the Boys. You remember me being a guest on Behind Enemy Lines. You remember me on Out of Pocket this past Friday with our NFL predictions. I was like, guys, this is almost a no-brainer. The Pittsburgh Steelers are winning this because they have Justin Fields, who through the first 4 games of the year was the second best running quarterback in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson. You have Najee Harris, and this looked like a Lamar Derrick Henry light combination when it comes to Justin Fields and Najee Harris. Not at the caliber of those two guys, but in terms of the same playing style, I was like, we're without Micah, we're without D-Law, we're without Deron Bland, we're without Kalen Carson. And it was terrible. You know, in the first quarter, Marshawn Kneeland, literally the Cowboys' 4th string pass rusher going in this game, got hurt, partially torn meniscus, so he'll miss multiple weeks, if not the entire season. So Dallas was really limping into this game as it was. They limped further and further. Tyler Guyton, the starting left tackle, the rookie, he was down and out as well. It was looking bad. It was looking bleak. Dak Prescott actually turning the ball over. He had 2 interceptions. He also had a fumble lost on a sack. So it was the perfect storm. But there was one thing I did want to bring out of this game. Dallas had a run defense for the first time the entire season. They also could run the ball effectively. Rico Dowdle, what a game for him. He had a couple catches out of the backfield, including a touchdown reception from Dak Prescott. But he also mainly had 20 carries, 87 yards, the longest run for a Cowboy all season at 13 yards. And it was like, wow, where was this literally the entire season? It was not an easy victory. But I do want to go ahead and say I'm not going to praise Dallas for winning this game. Yes, it was difficult. It was tough. And yes, 3-2 looks a lot better than 2-3, especially when Washington's red hot right now with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. They're doing really well. And so with also Philly, they can catch fire at any time. Dallas really needed to win this game to prevent them from falling to 2-3. I just didn't expect it. But I feel like this was more on the Pittsburgh Steelers than it was the Dallas Cowboys actually winning this game. Very impressive for Dak to gather his team, go down the field, and throw a game-win touchdown pass. But Steelers fan, actually, the host of Dugout Debrief, Chris DeLuca, in our YouTube comments, and this is why we do our live stream, so you guys can engage with us in the comments. Tell us what you're thinking, what you want to talk about. Chris says we can't expect our defense carries constantly. And this game was an example. I was listening to Colin Cowherd earlier this afternoon, and he was talking about the Steelers being, in that mindset of this is a defensive first NFL. And I thought he brought up a really good point because they spend the most amount of money in the entire league on their defense. Granted, that's the TJ Watt contract. Granted, that's the Minkah Fitzpatrick contract. But they spend the least amount when it comes to offensive payroll, getting Justin Fields for cheap, getting Russell Wilson for cheap, Najee Harris, your other, good offensive player. And then what is there? George Pickens, maybe. They're obviously inquired about Brandon Ayuk at one point. Ayuk stay with the 49ers. They're inquiring about Devontae Adams. And Chris saying George Pickens was too busy picking fights to get more than 3 receptions. You obviously have to be focused on the game. I'm very interested to see the Pittsburgh Steelers who pulled Jordan Lewis's face mask at the very end of the game, see what the NFL does in terms of a potential fine or a potential suspension for unsportsmanlike conduct after the whistles were blew. And he says it was surprisingly a well-coached game on both sides, considering McCarthy and Tomlin are notorious for having some really crazy meltdowns. I don't know if I agree necessarily with the Mike McCarthy. There were some questionable things. He could have challenged one play, a Jalen Tolbert first down or a Jalen Brooks first down that prevented Dallas from extending that drive. He also could have not challenged that challenge he did call, the fumble recovery that wasn't. So I wasn't really impressed with Mike McCarthy, but he kept his team in there. I was more impressive with the defensive effort, especially with the guys missing on that defensive front. But guys, give Mike Tomlin credit. Give Mike Tomlin credit because he has been with the Steelers, 16 years? And he's never had a losing season. Everyone wants to fire Mike Tomlin. And guys, why would you fire a head coach who would literally be hired in an instant? I mean, I am telling you, if the Steelers today, which they're not, don't take this out of context. If the Steelers today at 5:38, right here, and we break it on out of pocket, if they let Mike Tomlin go, do you know what would happen? One of the 31 NFL teams, not named the Chiefs with Andy Reid, not named really the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, not some of these, established coaches. One of the other teams in the NFL would immediately fire their head coach, give Mike Tomlin a call, say, name your price, and Tomlin would be on his way to another team. It'd basically be a trade in the NFL. That is exactly what would happen. Chris saying Steelers fans who want to fire Tomlin are fake, in my opinion. 100% agree. Aaron saying he's here to say he called the final score exactly on the Gridiron Address last night. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out the Gridiron Address, it's available on demand on Boom Broadcasting's YouTube channel. He did phenomenal. I am going to get Aaron in here very soon to talk some college football, talk some Appalachian State Mountaineers. Jason saying Tomlin will leave. Steelers don't fire coaches. That is true. Rooney holds on to the coaches maybe a little longer than some would anticipate. But like Chris said, if you're a Steelers fan, you want Tomlin gone, you might as well just be fake and choose a new team. Like Jason. Jason needs to choose a new team, saying go Giants in the YouTube comment section. And Booking Like a Mark calling me out, saying you should have never doubted us. Let's go Cowboys. Let's be honest. I don't think anybody understood the amount of adversity Dallas had to overcome to beat Pittsburgh on the road in a weather delay without Micah Parsons, without DeMarcus Lawrence, without Deron Bland, without Kalen Carson, with Trayvon Diggs on one ankle. I mean, the list could go on and on and on without Brandon Cooks. It was just, it was unexpected how Dallas was able to do it. And he builds teams around what they have, not what they want. And Aaron saying we need the results from the week 5 out of pocket predictions. Yeah, we do actually. I need to get my phone wherever my phone is. And people keep texting me and out the wazoo. I need to go ahead, run the predictions and everything and talk about what's happening. Well, that's it for the Cowboys and Steelers game. At least we'll be talking about and Rick 8-Bit saying Cowboys 3-0 on the road. We're really good at home last year. Now it's the exact opposite. They're really good on the road, not so much. And Max A meets Coach Mike did his job. He did actually get his first game ball of his entire coaching career. The players gave him a ball, especially Mike McCarthy winning in his hometown where he grew up. He grew up a Steelers fan, actually. And it's very interesting to note he won last night. But in addition, the only Super Bowl Mike McCarthy won was back in 2010. It was actually in Cowboys AT&T Stadium, and it was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I mean, out the wazoo, like you can do anything with that as you will. It wasn't so great with my other teams. Duke, obviously, not perfect in football either. They have been a football school, but they suffered their first loss of the season to Georgia Tech, 24-14. I thought they would come out really, excited about beating UNC and the way they did, coming back down 20-0 to win that game. A little lackadaisical against Georgia Tech. I'm not going to question the officiating on air. As fans, we can be like, man, that was a really bad. But at the end, you just need to overcome that. And they couldn't get anything on the ground. In addition, they couldn't stop the run as well. So what Dallas found out last night is what Duke needs to get back to. You need to run the ball effectively, and you need to defend the run. Chris saying Western PA on top. Aaron, I will not even read that comment on air. It is so out of pocket. Aaron, you and I disagree about Duke and UNC, but what we don't disagree on is our love for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And yes, you're reading that headline right. Sean Clark crapped the bed yet again. We talked about this last week. We talked about how important it was for App State to come back, their first game since everything happened with Hurricane Helene, and just as a morale boost for this entire region, this entire area, and App failed to do that. Now, I'm not going to it's been a tough time. It's been a tough time. If you've been in the area, they're still taking donations, especially as it's getting colder weather and people are still without power. They need blankets. They need generators. They need stuff to stay warm. They need coats. They need longer winter clothes because some people have lost all their possessions. So I know Masthead Co-working through Wilkes Youth Life Development is still taking donations if you're in the local Wilkes area, and they're bringing up trucks as they found out what needs need to be had in certain areas, and they're going anywhere that's been impacted within driving distance. So that's one place you can help give. I'm sure Samaritan's Purse is another good one. Alliance Bible Fellowship in Boone is another good one. I think they're still taking donations at Speedway. Don't quote me on most of that, but it's a tough time. If you feel led to give, if you feel led to help, please do. But when it comes to football, I don't understand and I don't know what Sean Clark is doing or has done, and this has been a long problem for many years. It's been a problem, and I don't appreciate it. I don't love it. And what Sean Clark, it feels like he's just in the way of this program getting to App State winning football. Losing 52-37 on the road to Marshall, that 15-point margin looks better than this game actually was. They were down by 3 scores at one point. They're losing games in the Sun Belt, and it's not the same App State team that I went to school watching. It's not the same App State team I grew up watching. It's not the same App State team that would go and be a dog and run on emotion. And that's what made this Mountaineer team special. That's what made it special. And so what I want to bring in now is Aaron from the Gridiron Address, because he's an App State guy as well. And I want to hear what Aaron has to say in regards to this App State team. Aaron, when it comes to Sean Clark, I feel like, and you and I talked about this on Friday, I feel like time's running out, and I feel like this could be his last season if they don't even end it sooner.
Um, I agree with you. I think it 1,000% needs to be his last season. He hasn't lived up to the standard of App State. I feel like he is coasting on the back of a 13-1 season in 2019, and that was the peak of the Sean Clark era. And last year, granted, yeah, they made the conference championship. That's only because JMU wasn't eligible, because it was year 2 in the FBS for him. I said it Friday. I'll say it again. I said it last night too. This team just doesn't have the same kind of emotion. Tackling's a problem. The running game can't get going. I feel like a broken record saying that. This App State team needs to get the running game going. When they've been their best, they've had a good running game and then some really talented wide receivers to back it up. But I mean, he needs to be gone at the end of the year. Hopefully, minimize the potential buyout, because they're going to have to buy him out of his contract. And also, I don't know if they can hire him. They need to at least call Steve Wilks. Get the man on the phone. Doug Gillen needs to call Steve Wilks and at least have a conversation. If not, manage to get him to be the next head coach, because that guy can build a culture for a football team.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I don't even think Steve Wilks has a job right now. So that would be really good. He actually played his college football at Appalachian State, which is, kind of crazy. He also grew up in the Charlotte area, went to West Charlotte High School. He's been like a volunteer advisor this year for the Charlotte 49ers. Not the San Francisco 49ers. Just to clarify, Steve Wilks is not in the 49ers organization anymore. Sorry, Podcast Smitty. He'll be on in a few minutes, talk some NFL with us. And Chris saying you maybe have Neil Brown, Mountaineer to Mountaineer, pending our games against Iowa State and Kansas State. I don't know. I don't want Neil Brown. I think Steve Wilks would be a good replacement. I feel like the Panthers should have had Steve Wilks.
1,000%. He almost had that team in the playoffs. I think they were a game out of the wild card when he was interim head coach, and it felt so obvious. Like, hey, hire this guy. He's got this team playing with a lot of energy and playing some pretty solid football, given how atrocious they had been earlier in the season. And then they go and hire Frank Reich, which was just ridiculous.
Dude, and I want to wait till we bring in Shannon here in a few minutes. Dude, I wonder if they had just stuck with Steve Wilks, if the Panthers are even in the situation now that they're in.
I mean, I think he would have the defense looking significantly better. I think they've given up something like 159 points. They're giving up almost 32 points a game, and that's ridiculous. I think, and now granted, Evero can't control the injuries. He can't control the blown assignments. I think he still needs to be better as a defensive coordinator. And to an extent, I feel like he is, out of all the coaches on the Panthers, he's probably on the hottest seat because they signed Canals to that big deal. I think they probably give him a little more leeway than they do to any assistants. And the Panthers defense has been just downright horrendous this year.
Well, to be fair, when you give up Brian Burns to the New York Giants,
Burns has played like crap this year.
Yeah, but
he's been awful. So it feels, but I mean, with all the injuries they have, we could use the Brian Burns, but we also, I mean, is he worth paying the money that he was going to want? And I mean, look at how he's playing right now.
And then you have Derek Brown who was out, but dude, yeah, I would like to see Steve Wilks at least get a phone call and see what you could do and see him at the college ranks, like see if he's really passionate about App State. He was actually the former defensive backs coach all the way back in 2001, so he had experience with Jerry Moore and could be really good. That owner gives no leeway. I'm sure Mac's talking about the Carolina Panthers and David Tepper.
That man let Matt Rule have a job for far too long. Maybe he's sick of it now. He won't give leeway. He gave Matt Rule leeway, so I don't know what David Tepper's going to do. I think he's a terrible owner. He just bought the team, but I hope he sells the team because, dear Lord, it's just terrible. Throwing drinks on fans, it's just ridiculous.
Dude, it's literally childish. It's unprofessional right there. Now, one thing that caught me off guard this week, man, was Vanderbilt beating Alabama. Dude, when people say they want Bama, I don't think they really want Alabama. And then they got Alabama. And this is so funny because Nick Saban told Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show this past week, like, there's one team that they don't worry about, and that's Vanderbilt. And man, were they wrong. The Crimson Tide, who just came off a huge victory against Georgia. They were like, okay, they're on cloud 9 right now. They beat Georgia, number 2 in the nation, 41-34. They got everything figured out. They beat Wisconsin on the road the week before, demolished them. And then you go to Vanderbilt and you just, dude, I don't know what happened. This is also the first time you see a wire-to-wire victory. This is the first time that the Crimson Tide haven't led in a game since 2019, which is absolutely wild. Also, say his name and he appears. I believe in Podcast Smitty. Is this right? Is he already here? Shannon, dude, I was going to throw this to Aaron, but thanks for popping in a few minutes early. What did you make of this Bama loss?
Kalen DeBoers had shoes to fill when he came into this job. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Now, all this smack talk about Vanderbilt. Did I see Vanderbilt beating Alabama? I didn't. But I will say this. Jalen Milroe, his Heisman stock went down. There's no way he's taking a Heisman trophy with a loss to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, really? Bottom of the SEC, Vanderbilt, beat up on them, the little brother, the Commodores. Really? Really? And you're supposed to be the guy taking Nick Saban's spot. You already know Bama has high expectations already. They've been spoiled for years. So the heir apparent, who was a national championship coach, he coached the national championship, goes right to a squad that demands national championship as soon as they walk in the door. And you do this. Not good. Not good. Especially the SEC. The way the SEC is. Nope.
Aaron, this was a bad look if you're Alabama.
It's terrible. I love it though, but I think Vandy's solid. I think we're seeing a little bit of a come up. New head coach for Bama. He's got to get it together a little bit. I still believe in Kalen DeBoer. I think he's a really good coach. I feel like this will be an outlier. They beat Georgia. Georgia's a phenomenal team. We can't just write Bama off after they whoop Wisconsin and beat Georgia. Granted, this is a terrible look for them, but to what Shannon said, I don't think Milroe will take home a Heisman. I still think Bama has a legitimate chance at a national championship.
Yeah, and this is why we do lives, because Jason brought up a good point. Alabama's not out of the college football playoff conversation. Now, if they had suffered this loss back when it was just 2 teams, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get in there. With 4 teams, maybe with Alabama just having the legacy and the reputation, but Jason asking the biggest losses in college football this weekend. It wasn't only Alabama. It was Michigan losing to Washington. It was Missouri just getting stomped by Texas A&M, which I called, by the way. Just wanted to let you know, Aaron.
Did you call stomped? You said they'd win. Did you call stomped?
I mean,
I don't remember the stomped part.
A dub is a dub. A dub is a dub. You know, we need that dub. I'll take it. I'm not really good at predictions. Max saying Arch for Heisman. Well,
yes.
Quinn Ewers might actually come back this week and help Texas out. So maybe a little premature. I just hope he doesn't follow one of his uncle's footsteps and go to the Giants. I just hope that doesn't happen. That's a good question by Jason. Aaron, do you think this is why teams are a little, relaxed at this point of the year?
I mean, to an extent, I think there's definitely a lot less pressure. They're still going to try and go out and win because there's some group of 5 teams that are killing it right now. I mean, Army and Navy, I think they finally learned about the forward pass. I think each team had a player with over 100 receiving yards a week or two ago. So the service academies learned how to throw the ball. It might be over for the rest of college football because they somehow have an unstoppable run game no matter who they play. They know what's coming. They can't stop it. UNLV, I think they lost. They're still a good team, though. Boise State, Ashton Genty, Heisman frontrunner. That guy is tearing it up to a degree we haven't seen since Barry Sanders was in college. So I think it feels like the group of 5 teams are really stepping up, and possibly some Power 5 teams, they're Power 4 teams now, rest in peace Pac-12, are maybe relaxed a little bit, but only so much because you still got to go out and win football games.
Man, why you got to remind me that the Pac-12 is gone? Dude, that's out of pocket. Shan, what did you think of Jason's question?
Great question, by the way. Very good question. I think it helps that they've got it to where you've got 12 teams in. I think it helps. Yet and still, it doesn't matter. With a lot of these squads still being the top of the top, the creme de la creme, the SEC and the Big Ten are going into agreement with each other, as in them being like business partners. So basically what they're telling the Big 12 and the ACC is that they can pound sand. They're basically like, you know what? We're going to run this. And most of the teams that are ranked in the top 25, like most of the top 10, SEC and Big 10. So you're seeing the surge. The only squad that is ranked in the top 10 is Miami. And they almost lost, by the way, too. They come back and won because, yeah. So it's still pressure there because when you've got 2 conferences they've got more teams than anybody, because if you put them together, it's like maybe 30-some teams together. It's still some pressure added to it because, you've got these 2 conferences here that are basically in agreement with each other, and they're in the top 10 interchangeably. Texas is the number 1. They're in the SEC. So it still begs to differ, but I think it's more of an NIL fallout because a lot of squads are going to different places. A lot of players are going to different places and getting paid a lot more, or going into other schools because they're giving them better offers. And a lot of these teams that are creme de la creme over the years, they're going to have to cough up some money for these players. And 9 times out of 10, they will. So it's going to be hard for other teams to thrive when it comes down to it. But yet still, I think it's more of an NIL fallout to me.
And then that was a great question by Jason. You also bringing up Miami in the comments. Shan brought him up. We'll talk NFL in just a second, but I would be remiss without mentioning Cam Ward. Dude, I am just beyond impressed. I was impressed by him, going into this week. And then for him to come back down 3 touchdowns and win by a point on the road against California, literally will his team back. I mean, this is probably the first time that I can remember in a while that Miami wasn't just living off a reputation, and they were actually a legit team, like a 20-point comeback in the fourth quarter. Shan, you're familiar with that as a UNC fan, but dude, this might be the best Cam who's ever worn the number 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cam helps Miami stay in these college football playoff and make a run late in the year. Shannon, what's the odds that Cam could do that?
It's a possibility because the ACC is really not that strong of a conference, and I see them winning the ACC, barring injury. So he's going to have to fight because you know how it is. Like I said before, with the Big Ten right now, I think Ohio State is probably one of the toughest teams. Texas is still yet to be determined. As of right now, they're sitting atop the national the top 25. They're sitting at number 1. So it's going to be tough to see. But see, Ohio State's not played anybody either, so we don't know either. When it comes down to them, when they get into the thick of conference play, it's going to be very, very important that they go away with these conference wins. But I think Miami has a great chance to do it. And to be honest with you, I kind of hope they do it. After I heard about what the Big Ten and the SEC are doing, I'm kind of hoping that they do. It's going to be tough, but they have a good chance.
Well, I'm a little biased about Duke actually finishing higher than Miami, but it would be tough. Aaron, stop laughing. Jason saying don't sleep on Syracuse. This is why, by the way, Jason wasn't on the show today. He texted me this weekend about being a Syracuse fan and having a McNabb Syracuse jersey. And I was like, we don't need to see that. Aaron, do you I will hate on McNabb any day of the week and twice on Sunday, 3 times on Owl Pocket Monday. Aaron, what are the odds Cam could bring a chip to the Canes?
I mean, he's a phenomenal player. I think he has a chance, but I think Ohio State is really good right now. Shannon, you were talking about once they get into the thick of conference play, they got number 3 Oregon this week. That is going to be a huge game. I have to work that night, which sucks because I would love to watch that game. But yeah, right now I hate giving them credit. I think Ohio State for me has got to be the front runner. Them and Texas are right there. I think with teams that are that strong, I don't think that Miami has that great of a chance. I think they 100% win the ACC, but if we're talking the national championship, I don't think so. Semis, I could see it, but I don't think they win it all.
Man, we'll keep following the Miami Hurricanes. The U, they're 6-0. They're 2-0 in conference play. They got Louisville on the road next here in a couple weeks after a bye. They got Florida State after that, host Duke. Then they go to Georgia Tech. They host Wake Forest, and then they end their year against Jason's Syracuse team. But one team I do want to bring up right now is some NFL action. Caleb Williams squared off against the Carolina Panthers. Now, the reason I bring this up, the reason I bring Caleb Williams up is the Carolina Panthers traded with the Chicago Bears a couple years ago, and they went up and got Bryce Young. They also sent DJ Moore off to Chicago as Podcast Smitty exits stage left or stage right. We'll see how it is.
I had to unplug my charger. Is the reason why. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't weigh my phone down on my stand. So that's why. I'm ready for this.
Bet. Because I'm coming to you first for this one.
Good.
But they gave up DJ Moore in the trade to get Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers didn't know when they traded that pick that it would be for the number 1 overall pick the next year, and gave up Caleb Williams. So the Bears got Caleb Williams and DJ Moore and a lot else. Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle, still have a 2025 second-round pick. In addition to that, and a couple other players for Bryce Young, who didn't play this game. Andy Dalton started because of Bryce's performance through the first couple weeks. Shannon, I don't know if this was a revenge game for Caleb Williams. I know it was for DJ Moore, but after seeing what happened and what transpired in the direction of the two organizations, do you think the Panthers and David Tepper's having any remorse about that trade now?
If not, they should, because they had to bench Bryce, which was number one. No, actually, I take that back. That was number two. Number one is what they lost, or what the Bears gained, if you will. This was a revenge game for DJ Moore. He went out there and he nabbed 2 touchdowns. He could say it all day long that it wasn't a revenge game. He could say that all day long, but we know it because he went out there and he balled out. This trade that Carolina had with Chicago was Houston and Cleveland 2.0. And that was what that was, because look at what Houston got. Houston gained a lot off of that trade for Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland, and they ended up recouping. They got a new coach. They got picks. They ended up getting C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has balled out. Nico Collins has played incredibly well. Hopefully he gets well after his injury. But they played very well. They were surprised of the league last year with all the picks that they had, because not a lot of people expected Houston to do well last year, especially with a rookie quarterback and a lot of young pieces, but they ended up winning the AFC South. So this was something that Carolina has to look at, because this was a bad deal. Regardless of how you look at it, there was no gain for the Carolina Panthers and there was gain for the Chicago Bears. So they should be very ashamed of themselves for making this move.
Well, that's Shannon. He and I have talked a little bit of Panthers in the past before. He still holds it down in the cat cave with Bully Ryan Frick. Aaron, you're a Panthers fan, through and through. Shannon and I were just 2 non-fans covering the Panthers. What do you feel about the trade now that we can see a clearer picture after this Sunday?
I mean, I think they have to regret it. I think this is a different staff than the staff that made the trade. I don't know how involved Tepper was in that. I'm sure David Tepper's upset about it, but as far as how much the front office regrets it, I would imagine they'd love having all that draft capital to try and rebuild this team. So they definitely regret that. But I mean, Tepper should hate every decision he's made since he's owned the team. He has done nothing right. Didn't hire Steve Wilkes. Frank Reich employed Matt Rule too long. I mean, it's been terrible decisions from as soon as he had control of this team. It's atrocious. I regret that this trade happened. I was kind of excited. Hey, we're going up, maybe getting a franchise quarterback. No, it was terrible. Chicago has put themselves in a pretty good situation going forward. Some solid pieces. Caleb Williams has looked pretty good the last couple weeks, and Carolina barely looks like a football team.
Barely. I mean, barely look like them. Chris saying Tepper, John Fisher, and Jerry Reinsdorf hate club. Is that a real hate club? Where are the initials of that?
It is. It is, especially Jerry Reinsdorf. Definitely, I'm in there too with you, Duke. So yes.
That's too funny. Jason, they're too busy panicking. DJ is not even on their radar. And honestly, we've seen these revenge games from wide receivers before. And DJ Moore absolutely showed up and showed out. So kudos, DJ Moore. Making a team regret trading you. But McCaffrey's gone to the 49ers. DJ Moore's gone to the Bears. Caleb ended up landing in Chicago, which ironically might be a better place for quarterbacks than Carolina. Max saying the curse of Jerry Richardson. We've talked about that. And comments keep pouring in. Chicago went through 2 quarterback mistakes. Carolina has a few more mistakes to go.
Or they just draft CJ Stroud and they're not in this position. But I digress.
Aaron, you can say I told you so on that one.
Mm-hmm. I will forever say I told you so, because I was on record in February. I think I made a post on my IG account, Football and More. I had CJ Stroud as my top prospect in that draft class. So I've been a Stroud fan for a long time, and I've said it before. I feel vindicated that I've been pretty right so far. Granted, Stroud went into a better situation. I also wish I was wrong, given how right that I actually was. I wish I was just a little less right.
And talking about being right and wrong and loving when you're wrong. I'm glad I was wrong when I picked the Steelers to win this past Friday. That was one of my 2 losses. The other one coming when I picked Aaron Rodgers to not show up like, I don't know, he was Bryce Young. I don't know what even to compare Aaron Rodgers to at some point. He was I think that was the first time he's thrown 2 interceptions in the first quarter of his career. 3.
Three.
He threw 3 total, but that was the first time 2 in the first quarter. Jason brings up a good question for Aaron as the Panthers guy. Do you think CJ would be as good as he is on a Panthers team?
I don't think. I think he would. As good, probably not. Better than Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, 1,000%. I have zero doubt about that. I feel like last year there was more of a question about it because the offensive line was atrocious. Receivers couldn't get open. This year, Chuba Hubbard's played great. I mean, had an off game passing last week, but part of me feels like that is Andy Dalton just not really being a consistent quarterback. He never has. He'll play good games, then he'll play bad. I think that's what we're seeing, less so on the receivers, but I think he would be significantly better than anything Carolina has, but not quite as good as he is on Houston because Houston just is a better team, better weapons, and better coach, just a better franchise altogether.
Shannon, what do you think about that?
I think he would do better, yes. But given this is what happens when you start labeling young players, especially young quarterbacks, as prodigies and taking to the game all fast and they ain't played an NFL game. That's what they were doing with Bryce. They were talking about that. They were giving him packages and all this stuff. I get having confidence. I do. I get having confidence. I understand. But when you start dubbing this guy as a prodigy and start putting him on a pedestal, and then you go out there and only win 2 games the first year, more to me, I think Bryce did not have time to develop. I don't think he had time to develop, and that's what happened. It's not the fact that he is not bad, because I've been on record saying that he was bad. I need to look at it like this. He didn't have time to develop. There was no grooming process, and he should have been in there beforehand. But when they got into a hurry and looked to make a franchise out of him and dub him as the franchise, dub him as year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then he goes out and does this, and then you end up benching him in the second year. That's what happens when you start labeling these guys early and they've not played a game. So I don't blame it all on Bryce. I blame it all on more the organization and putting them in the situations, especially when you see guys like Sam Darnold, when you see players that have gone through different squads, Malik Willis going out there and actually being nurtured by their coaches and actually having time to grow. It shows that there was more of a sign there that no one saw. And the fact that these guys now have teams that they can play on and coaches that can coach them well and they get better with their career, that shows a lot also too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Mac also bringing up quarterback needs talent around them. Ask Brock Purdy. That I don't know if that was a shot at Shannon, but hey, Brock Purdy's been doing pretty okay. Like obviously not great yesterday, but I think that was more of a team thing more than anything.
Mm-hmm. It was. It definitely was. But yeah, that's once again, and I say that also too. I'll be on that hill as well too, because guys will say that about Brock Purdy. It's called building a squad. You put guys in the right situations to succeed. Carolina did not do that. The Jets did not do that with Sam Darnold. And look what happens. These guys go out here being gun shy back there in the pocket, don't know where to go, and they lack confidence. Baker was like that. So now look at Baker. Baker's on the squad thriving. So yes.
Yeah, and that was a great point by Rick 8-Bit, who said the fact that Carolina had Mayfield and Sam Darnold is crazy. By the way, if you watched Out of Pocket on Friday. You realize we did some picks. The crown on Jason's head is now removed. He went 4-3 in his picks. Finally, he doesn't win. Sorry, Jason. You've been a great help and contribution to Boom Broadcasting, but I was tired of you having this big head. We needed to shrink it down because we need to send the crown off, get it readjusted for one of 3 heads, because right now we actually have a 3-way tie heading into tonight's game. And Jason saying he'll be back. Well, it's between Rick 8-Bit, myself, and Aaron. We all predicted 5 games correctly. We all, missed 2 respectively. I missed the Cowboys game and the Jets game. Aaron, I believe you missed.
I missed Patriots and I don't know what else.
Houston.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Rick 8-Bit also landed at 5-2 because he lost the Patriots and the Bills game as well. So for the first time ever, we're doing a tiebreaker. Monday Night Football, Chiefs Saints. And what we're doing is we are going to be doing who wins and then the point differential. Now, I gave Rick 8-Bit the first chance at, doing it. So the only aspect of this is you can't say the same answer, because then that loses the point of a tiebreaker. That's just how it goes. But I'll be a gentleman. I'll go last. Rick 8-Bit has texted me. He couldn't be on the show today, but he's got the Chiefs by 4. That is what Rick 8-Bit has predicted, Chiefs by 4. This is the That Age Will segment. While Aaron thinks and computes in his head how this goes, I'm going to throw this to Shannon. Okay, Shannon, who do you think wins tonight? Is it going to be the Chiefs, or do the Saints get it to gear and shock the world?
I don't see that happening with the Saints. I like the Saints. I think they do well. I want Alvin Kamara to get some points from me because I have to win tonight. I'm down like maybe 9 points to Joseph right now. And I'm hoping that I can get some points to cover the spread and get a win. But I don't see the Saints winning. Give me the Chiefs with a 10-point by 10.
Ooh, Shan's got Chiefs by 10. Jason, who lost the prediction contest, got Chiefs by, if I'm doing math right, 15. So you may not want to, ask Jason who he thinks wins, because he's not part of this tiebreaker. He's I'm taking every chance I could get. Like 3 straight weeks, this guy just sits atop of the rankings. I was like, man, like can we just like humble this Giants fan? It's okay. He needed something to get him through his week. Aaron, Rick 8-Bit has claimed Chiefs by 4. What are you going for the prediction?
So just clarifying question real quick. It doesn't matter if my margin of victory is over or under what it actually is, as long as it's the closest.
As long as the closest, it's going to be a horseshoe when it comes to the point differential.
I'm going Chiefs by 13. I don't think it's going to be close, honestly. New Orleans is a solid team. Even without Rashee Rice, I think the Chiefs are going to take care of business pretty handily.
So you say Chiefs by 13.
Yep.
Okay. You got Chiefs by 13. Rick 8-Bit has Chiefs by 4. Guys, I don't want to predict against.
Are you going to split the middle here?
I'm thinking about it. What's the midway point of 4 and 13? So
Don't help him, Shannon. Let him do it by himself.
Let me do math like an elementary school kid. So you got 12 and 5. You got 11 and 6. Somebody help me out. Don't do it. I'm not shooting the bird, by the way. I'm going to throw this other finger up. I've already lost count. Oh, you know what? Let me just be easier with this. Let me just go ahead and pick the Saints. Let me pick the Saints. Let me go absolutely crazy. Just like I mean, Max saying the Saints are going to win. I hope so, because you know what? I'm going to get the Saints. I'm going to get it by 14. I'm going to
Why?
do Saints by 14.
I want to hear your logic real quick. Why?
Okay, so
Expound.
Why?
the Chiefs aren't going to go undefeated, even if they are the best team in the NFL. Like, if they lose tonight, I probably have them number one in my top quarter rankings tomorrow. In addition, I'm not betting against Pat Mahomes in a close game, so it needs to be at least 2 scores. And I'm going to go say, like, Alvin Kamara goes off, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed gets past the defense. The Chiefs are without Rashee Rice. Give me the Saints by 14. If this ages well, I will be insufferable tomorrow.
I actually need the Chiefs to win. I was not looking forward to this game. I'm not crazy. I'm not a big fan of either team, but yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be close, honestly.
Well, you know what? It's okay, because Mac was like, Saints are going to win because anytime panel goes all one team. Well, I just picked against the Chiefs.
Exactly. So
maybe that helps you. You're welcome.
Thank you for this. I appreciate you handing me the win.
I mean, it could go to Rick 8-bit as well. He's got them by 4. You got them by 13. I'm just crazy, and I'm going Saints. Hey, to be fair, it did work out. Everybody called me crazy when I picked the Dolphins to beat the Patriots this weekend. Everybody called me crazy.
I don't know if everybody called you crazy, because that was just a garbage game that felt like a coin flip.
That was like the lowest scoring game this week. It was terrible. I'm glad it wasn't on TV.
I feel bad for anyone who had to watch that game.
Yes.
I mean, just awful.
Oh, imagine the local programming. Like, that was the only game you had on in your region. Oh man, I'd watch Netflix.
You know what? I would have just turned on a replay of Bad Blood rather than watching Miami and New England. Which I gotta talk about that with Shane here real quick. I'll let Aaron go. Aaron had the Gridiron Address last night with Jason, with Chris, and it was absolutely great. And you know what? The Cowboys didn't play, so there wasn't too much like, oh, the Cowboys lost and so much hate. So I was able to come on and be hey, they won.
Hey, I wasn't trashing the Cowboys. I picked them to win. I got the score right, 2017, spot on. And Chris almost got it right too. He said 21-17. He was pretty close too. So
hey, it was a pretty close game. It was a pretty good game. But more importantly, it was a good Gridiron Address. You're doing great with that. Thanks for stepping up and, deciding, hey, I'd love to do this. I'd love to host it. And you're doing a really good job, my friend. So keep it up.
Appreciate it.
No problem. See ya, Aaron. Roll nears and Shannon. We have some bad blood to talk about. And one of the biggest things is, by the way, was a sad day at DeLuca headquarters. Steelers loses. Steelers. Oh, is that because we beat you on 2 different days? It's okay. He said Dodgers, but I wanted to get a jab in.
Yeah.
But Shannon, you got checked into SmackDown Hotel because finally The Rock has come back and has his eyes set on Cody Rhodes. Well, The Rock showed up at the end. This was an absolute fantastic event. There were some people crapping on it on social media. I'm like, guys, just be entertained and enjoy it and not have to complain about everything, because this set up so many things. I mean, there is something that happened that night that I wasn't a fan of. I'll touch on here in just a second. We might go a few minutes over than our allotted hour, but it's okay. I'm the Prez. I can do that. Just like if I was the final boss, I can do whatever I want. Okay? So, Shannon, The Rock showed up a lot earlier than I thought. I thought we wouldn't get him until Survivor Series, maybe the Royal Rumble, to set up something for WrestleMania. But he's come back. Do you think The Rock just appeared and vanished? Or is he going to be a part of more weekly or monthly programming going forward? What are you expecting from The Rock?
Oh, The Rock's entangled in this. He's got to be. As far as monthly, weekly, I don't think so. It's still going to. He's still going to be an integral part of the bloodline. So he's got to be, and it's going to be. It's going to be wonderful when he does, because man, so many things could happen now that The Rock showed up. Now that Jimmy is back, so many things are going to show up, and when he done that. That's got everybody wondering what he means.
Dude, for real. Like, this is why people are like, oh, why is The Rock here? They don't need him. Da, 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 da. He's got everyone talking now. And literally, this could have meant anything, because not only was Cody in the ring, but also Roman Reigns was in the ring.
Yep.
And then Solo and the Bloodline 2.0 are in the stands, and a fan caught video of Solo saying this is all part of the plan.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if that was Solo being in cahoots with The Rock, or was that Solo just trying to reinstill confidence in his guys? Like, there's literally all the possibilities that you could do. Who do you think he's targeting first?
You know, so many things could be said to this, but I'm just going to go on the gut. I think it's going to be Roman. I think it's Roman. I think that this is going to. I think The Rock's the puppet master in this whole thing. The Rock's pulling the strings of everyone in the bloodline. He has to be. So, we don't know where he's going to turn, but I think more than likely he's going to be on Solo side, I believe.
Well, and that would make sense, even dating back all the way to Solo's debut in WWE. He helped Roman Reigns win at Clash at the Castle against Drew McIntyre. But when Solo came in, it was the elders sent him. Like that was the line. We never knew who the elders were, but maybe this was a part of The Rock's plan all along. And Rick 8-Bit keeps trashing The Rock. And this Rock slander isn't going to stand. Rick 8-Bit, you need to know your role, and you need to shut your mouth. Okay, before I lay the smack it down on your Rudy Poo candy 8-bit ass. Golly. And he's also bringing up Hell in a Cell was great. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre tore the house down. That was the exact right way to start the show. That was the right way to end the show. But he mentioned something right here. Kevin Owens turning on Cody. Shannon, I told you there was something I didn't like. And it was this. You've been building up for weeks and weeks. Kevin Owens turned on Cody. You saw like they were rubbing each other the wrong way at moments. You're like, okay, when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen on SmackDown? Is it going to happen when he challenges for the title? This, that, whatever. Why on earth would you lose that pop in a business that lives and thrives on the pop and the raw reaction from the fans? Why would you just not get that at all? Instead, have him turn off air next to a bus in the parking lot, because now you don't get that reaction from the fan. I feel like this was a total missed opportunity for WWE.
The only reason why I can think that is because SmackDown has a shortage of heels outside the bloodline. Cody has nobody going after his title except for anyone in the bloodline. You're not going to send Jacob Fatu. You're not going to send Solo. You're not going to send the Tongans. You're not going to send any of these guys after Cody. So you've got to create some heels. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Is it a good look? Maybe not so much. But at the end of the day, Cody's got the title and Cody wants to defend the title. And there were so many people that talked about Roman not defending the title. He was the heel champion. And now you've got the championship on a face. And faces want to defend the title. So now you've got to find heels in order for him to defend the title. So that, I think, is what they were trying to do.
Well, and Rick 8-Bit saying this was all organic, the turn-in went viral. I disagree. Like, what was the point? You would have had this go viral if you did it on SmackDown. Like, Shane, you could have opened up SmackDown this week in Greenville if they still go through with that Greenville show, by the way. Still waiting to hear on what they do in regards to the impact that the hurricane had in the area. But dude, like, why not open SmackDown with this? Like, that could have solved every issue right there.
Because the bloodline is involved. Because of what happened with the bloodline. That's why they did it here. Because the bloodline is going to have their time on Friday. So you will see. You will see.
Do you think Rock shows up Friday?
No. I don't think he shows up Friday. But, it could happen. But I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think so.
Yeah, and Rick says, great point, make it like a whodunit, and now set Saturday night's main event. I'm excited for Saturday night's main event.
It'll be good.
And as of now, The Rock hasn't been announced for SmackDown this Friday, but Roman Reigns has been, scheduled on these live show announcements. And Mac bringing up kind of like Four Horsemen attacking Dusty in the parking lot. Like you could have went so many ways with this, especially Dusty, Cody. I mean, that's the Rock's hero, even though he hates your son. Gosh, it was absolutely fantastic. If you don't like The Rock, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Also, what's wrong with you if you're not watching the nightcap tonight? Okay, because it's not going on at 11:05. It's going to go on at 10:05. And guess what? The Monday Night Macs are back. It's me. It's Mouthing Off with Mike. We're going to be talking about Raw, and it's going on. The World Heavyweight Championship, Sami Zayn versus Gunther. Now, Sami did beat Gunther at WrestleMania to win the Intercontinental title in the longest Intercontinental title reign of all time. And in addition, this past weekend, Triple H announced basically the champion of champions, the Crown Jewel champion, is going to be crowned at Crown Jewel, which means the World Heavyweight and the WWE champion will collide to determine the champion of champions. It's not merging the titles. It's not unifying the titles. I guess it's replacing that Survivor Series brand warfare of some sort. Whatever they're doing with that. So the winner of this presumably wrestles Cody Rhodes, assuming Cody doesn't drop the title to Kevin Owens here in the next few weeks. So Shannon, with that age well, I want to know if your Chiefs Saints prediction ages well, but also, does this age well? Who you got? Sami or the Ring General?
Gunther is going to do it. Gunther is going to do it because he's got a great traction as champion. He's a great heel champion. Gunther is doing a wonderful job. And plus, I believe that Sami Zayn is going to go back to being honorary Uce later on down the road. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Dude, if that happens, I got to find my honorary Uce sweatshirt. Don't have the t-shirt, have the hoodie. But there's a reason I wanted to wear that more than one day of the week. So that's the only reason I get a shirt. And also, ironically, the hoodies were cheaper than the t-shirt. I guess because of the segment and everything. Right. Now I really do believe Gunther, and we're going to bring up a couple YouTube comments as well here in a second. But I really think Gunther, as soon as he won the World Heavyweight title, he had two blemishes. Okay, he had Randy Orton at King of the Ring, didn't beat him clean. And then he had Sami Zayn, who beat him at WrestleMania. Well, as soon as Gunther gets the title, he redeems himself against Randy Orton, Bash in Berlin. And now Sami Zayn steps up, and now he can redeem himself against Sami Zayn. And even Braun Breaker just lost his Intercontinental title. Braun Breaker is one of the guys who has beaten Gunther from his NXT days. Maybe Gunther can redeem that as well. Sun don't shine on same dogs. You didn't know? All the time. Max saying, let's go Gunther. And talking about Crown Jewel, Triple H unveiled a championship. It wasn't a women's mid-card title that I'm sure Mouthing Off with Mike didn't appreciate. But Rick 8-Bit calls it the Chat GPT Championship. What did you think about this title? I actually thought it looked pretty good, Shannon, in terms of a visual aspect.
When I saw that, I'm going to do what I did on the nightcap. When that happened and I saw that, this is what I did.
Shane got to unplug his charger, I guess, again.
It was bad idea. No. I like, no, shouldn't have done it. I'm like, come on, man. That's just giving more. Okay, so say that happens and Gunther pins Cody. That's pretty much just going to be a paper championship. That's going to be a championship that means absolutely nothing. Sean got it right. Sean Lucas said it best. The crown jewel thing should be who wins King of the Ring. That should be what crown jewel is about. The championship match for King of the Ring. I think that's the best thing. You're going to give him a title that means absolutely nothing? Come on, man. I mean, bad idea. Don't like it.
And they're not going to carry it around for the next
No.
year before Crown Jewel.
No. Why? It don't mean nothing. I mean,
at least make it a trophy.
Right. I mean, for real, it's like the science fair. You get the green participant ribbon and everything. That's what it is. And it was even green for that. I'm like, why? I mean, no. Come on, man. What are we doing here?
What are we doing now? I mentioned a couple YouTube comments came in. That was one of the questions. Booking like a Mark, asking with more main roster stars showing up on NXT and promote the move CW. Randy Orton and Jay Malachi, or formerly known as Jay Malachi, Javon Evans will be wrestling tomorrow night on NXT. Could we see Rock do a segment with his art? Now, very interesting because Ava was actually made general manager after The Rock joined the TKO board. I noticed that it was within that week or two that decision was made. I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily, Shannon, bring The Rock on for Ava. I don't know if it makes too much sense, other than it would definitely boost NXT ratings.
With him being involved in the bloodline, I would say no. Because it would take away from that storyline, and you don't want to do that if you're WWE, because that's been getting you paid for the past 2 years. You don't want to mess with that. You don't want to ruin that formula. You don't want to do that. So it's best that they don't. Maybe when all of this is done, or if there's an end to the bloodline story, maybe you do. But other than that, not now.
Yeah, not now. Which also not now is the nightcap. You'll have to wait till 10:05 tonight to catch me and Mike, the Monday Night Mikes, doing the nightcap tonight. I'm super excited. I had to miss last week because of everything going on, but I'm super excited to come back and get to go to bed an hour earlier. Because let's be honest, after the nightcap, I'm wired up. Me and Mike start talking after we go off air, and next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you've got to wake up the next morning. Well, guess what? I don't have to wake up in the morning. I'll eventually have to wake up, but I won't have to wake up in the morning. I won't have to stay up till midnight streaming at least. But Shannon, appreciate you hopping on today, my good friend. You'll drop quick hits this Wednesday morning, right?
Absolutely. I was working on it as we speak. I was watching a little bit of baseball because I got to talk about these playoffs that have been absolutely nuts.
Dude, and it's super exciting. You cover pretty much everything. You've been the jack of all trades, if you will. Wrestling, the ultimate gentleman's sport. You got NBA, you got WNBA, you got MLB. You got literally all the things. I'm gonna miss something when I start listing them off. You had NHL in there too.
Yeah, hockey's back, man. I'm getting that too as well because I got a recap from last week. So I got to do my game of the week and all that. So yes, and dude, Jason, I'm gonna tell you what though, man. The Yankees gave me a scare the other night, with Kansas City, because Lord have mercy, it looked like Kansas City was gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you my prediction yet. You got to watch the show on Wednesday to see my predictions of who I think is gonna win the AL and the NLDSs. It may be a surprise, might not be, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Jason's saying go Knicks. He also said go Yankees, and then he changed his mind to say go Rangers, and he's probably talking about the NY Rangers because that's Mr. NY. But I'm going to just go ahead and say he's probably turned the page and went Texas Rangers. So appreciate you, Jason. Wisen up. That's one Texas team for you. We need to get you a second one with the Cowboys. Judge needs to show up. Absolutely. Aaron Judge definitely needs to show up.
Yes.
Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani could help their legacies, depend on how this postseason goes.
Absolutely. I mean, this is Clash of Titans right here, man. This has been a long time coming right here. Both of these guys are the biggest guys in the sport right now, and that's what the league wants. The league wants the Dodgers, and they want the Yankees. This is going to be incredible. Hopefully they get it. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Who? maybe the New Day split up tonight. Who knows? We'll see. You'll be able to catch me on Nightcap tonight with Mike. Immediately following Raw. It's only 2-hour Raws for the rest of the fall, so it'll be an earlier Nightcap per usual. Catch Shannon with quick hits. We'll let him bounce out of here real quick, guys. I appreciate you all joining us this Monday. We went a little over. Comments still rolling in. MLB wants that old school vibe. The Dodgers, Yankees. Jason, Padres and Dodgers going wild out. Fights coming. There were some fights getting started last night on Sunday Night Football. Let's be real about that. But guys, it has been an absolute fantastic time. Tomorrow, Out of Pocket will be back 5:30 with my top quarter rankings. In addition, Nightcap tomorrow night for NXT. Nightcap tonight for Monday Night Raw. Dad and the boys will be a lot more pleasant this week. We'll drop that episode tomorrow at 3, covering that Steelers-Cowboys game in more depth. I got to talk about it a little bit at the beginning of the show today, but I always want to hear my dad's perspective on that. But guys, thank you so much for making us a part of your evening. We hope this was an escape. We hope this was enjoyable, entertaining for you guys. Thank you to Aaron from the Gridiron Address. Thank you to Shannon Smith from QuickHits. And thank you guys for flooding the comments, bringing a sense of normalcy back to my day and back to my week, starting Boom Broadcasting schedule off right. Guys, thank you guys so much. I can't wait to see you back here tomorrow, 5:30 for Out of Pocket. And until then, you all take care.
Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had a ball making it. Thank you very much.